2024, I wish to appreciate you, Right Honorable, for your exceptional leadership, dedication, and unwavering commitment in upholding the values of democracy and parliamentary integrity. Your ability to preside over proceedings with fairness, dignity, and clarity has greatly contributed to the effective functioning of the legislature. As Uganda Human Rights Commission, we are grateful for your service and the positive impact you continue to make in shaping our nation's governance. Right Honorable Speaker, I'm honored to present to you the Commission's 27th Annual Report for the year 2024 in accordance with Article 52, Clause 2 of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda. This constitutional mandate obliges us to submit annual reports to Parliament, highlighting the state of human rights in the country, key observations and recommendations for improvement. The 27th Annual Report of the Commission presents Uganda's human rights and freedoms situation in the previous year. It provides an assessment of key thematic human rights areas that the Commission monitored in 2024, as well as our activities and financial situation. The thematic areas that the Commission monitored include the human rights implications of Uganda's tax system, the traders' strike, liberalization of education and the human rights implications, overcrowding in Uganda's prisons, the refugee situation in Uganda, domestic workers in Uganda, the situation of women human rights defenders in Uganda, and the plight of the boy child. In each chapter, we make recommendations to relevant authorities on how to improve the situation. Chapters 8 to 11 highlight our interventions in complaints management, including investigations and tribunal sessions, monitoring and inspection in places of detention, human rights education, as well as finance and administration. Chapter 12 considers the Commission's position on bills that were tabled before Parliament. Chapter 13 assesses Uganda's performance in reporting to international and regional human rights mechanisms. This report also presents human rights challenges in the country, opportunities, and possible solutions on how our country can address the challenges. It's also a reflection of the Commission's unwavering commitment to fulfilling our constitutional mandate despite resource limitations and evolving dynamics in the civic and human rights landscape. Right Honorable Speaker and Commissioner, Honorable Afoyo-Chan, allow me to give you a brief of our accomplishments. In 2024, the Commission received a total of 3,940 complaints. Out of these, 249 were registered in line with the Commission's admissibility criteria. The Uganda Human Rights Commission Tribunal had a total of 197 matters and disposed of 98 complaints. The tribunal awarded a total sum of Uganda shillings 238 million in compensation to victims of human rights violations. Majority of the awards made were in relation to the freedom from torture and ill treatment, the right to personal liberty, and the right to life. In the financial year 2023-2024, the Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs paid compensation awards arising from the Commission orders to the tune of 116,089,122 shillings. The Ministry is yet to pay an outstanding amount of Uganda shillings 435,619,019 arising from our orders. In regard to inspection of places of detention, we conducted 457 inspection visits. These included visits to 257 police stations, 118 police posts, 78 government prisons, and 4 remand homes. Right, Honorable Speaker. The Commission notes that prison overcrowding has remained a major challenge in our prisons, with most prison facilities housing 4 times their designed capacities, with the male inmates most affected. The Commission also noted that despite Uganda having only 259 prisons around the country, with an approved accommodation capacity of 20,996 inmates, Uganda prisons had a population of 80,076 inmates in 2024. This negatively affected their sleeping space, ventilation, hygiene, and access to other basic services. Right, Honorable Speaker, in 2024, we conducted human rights and civic education around the country, where we engaged and, and informed the citizenry. This included training workshops, human rights barazas, and informative roadshows that reached various sections of the population. In addition, radio and television talk shows were conducted to provide platforms for discussions. The public also benefited from our libraries and documentation centers located at all our regional offices and at the head office. I am glad to note that in financial year 2023-2024, Government of Uganda remained the major funding source for the Commission, providing a total of Uganda shillings 18.667 billion. In financial year 2024-2025, we received a supplementary budget of 10.4 billion shillings, for which we are very grateful. These amounts were supplemented by contributions from development partners amounting to 1.649 billion shillings. Right, Honorable Speaker, allow me to highlight some of the challenges that are hindering our work. While we appreciate the additional funding from government, the Commission still needs some more funding to effectively implement our core activities and for the construction of the Commission's head office and regional office premises. We also still have a depleted fleet, so we need some new vehicles and at least 2 speedboats to enable us access the islands of Kalangala and Buvuma, where we have field offices. Our staff structure, which was approved by the Ministry of Public Service, should also be fully funded and implemented to address the human resource gaps. We therefore seek your indulgence to ensure that the Commission's budget is fully met. Reliance on donor support for our core activities is not sustainable. Right, Honorable Speaker, I also wish to bring to your attention the issue of the National Action Plan on Human Rights. This National Action Plan on Human Rights was one of government's universal peer review voluntary pledges in 2011. However, since then, the process has stalled despite having a draft in place. This initiative is not just a policy framework, but a commitment to the dignity, freedom, and well-being of every Ugandan. We therefore request for your indulgence and support to have the National Action Plan passed. Honorable Speaker, it is important to recognize that the protection and promotion of human rights is a collective responsibility. We therefore urge this august House to consider the recommendations within this report, especially those requiring legislative or budgetary action to ensure that the fundamental rights and freedoms of all Ugandans are upheld. It is therefore our hope that Parliament, the Executive, and all institutions of government to which recommendations have been made will give due attention to the respective issues raised. We are fully convinced that implementation of the recommendations made will greatly enhance the protection and promotion of human rights in the country. Before I conclude, allow me to once again express our appreciation to Parliament for your continued support rendered to the Commission and to reaffirm our readiness to collaborate with all branches of government to advance the human rights agenda in Uganda. Right Honourable Speaker, these are the highlights in the 27th Annual Report. As I table this report before you today, Right Honourable Speaker, I trust that it will contribute meaningfully to national dialogue, policy direction, and the strengthening of our institutions to safeguard the dignity and the rights of every Ugandan. We also urge the Human Rights Committee of Parliament to consider this report with all the importance it deserves and follow up on the recommendations with various ministries.
The Speaker, in designating me to represent her, probably thought about a lot, including our thawed past. But of course we meet at various fora. Majority of these your requests, you'll have to meet me in the legal committee where we can sort them out, where I'm a member also. So you can't run away from me. We can always meet at various corners as long as we are in public service. Thank you so much for this report. And the précis you have used to describe it informs largely what is in the document I haven't read. And on behalf of the Right Honourable Speaker, I would like to congratulate you for being able to document with your team the key issues of human rights in this country. And this report cannot come at a better time than this. I'm very sure the stakeholders are going to read it and probably feed you back at a time when your antennas on human rights must even be further erected, because our checkered history is such that in these times you have even a bigger challenge. And I want to believe that you made a good case, mentored with artificial air. I was saying that at these moments, we met in the committee of legal, and we made a good case for enhancement of your capabilities. And I hope our recommendation to finance will be considered to be able to backstop you, to be able to surround the entire country and address and report the situation of human rights. As Parliament, our oversight role is not just on you and your team, but also on all institutions that relate with our people. Invariably, the complaints raised by various stakeholders have been partly touched in this report, including your concerns and complaints. I'll pick a few issues that you've been able now to go beyond the traditional human rights, which are the common cases of abuse, including illegal arrests, illegal detentions. You're now going further to go into other rights, because the whole scale of rights is broad. And I want to invite you to continue in expanding, including in the future, when you get resources, to explore the issue of violation of our living environment, because it's a violation under the law. Environmental degradation is a very huge matter, and the violators are big people. They're well-resourced. They're contaminating our natural environment. Subsequently, their activities are impacting on the living conditions of the poor people. So will you be encouraged to expand further and do an expose of these violations of our environment? It's a very serious matter. Now that you have gone into new areas, hitherto not considered as critical human rights issues. I'd like to invite you, Madam, to probably refocus your budget. You had that conversation in the committee. I hope you'll pick it, so that the number of investigations grow, because it's the core mandate. I can appreciate the fact that the resources we are curtailing your reach, but we shall even fare better if the small resource envelope is focused on the core mandate. The world will appreciate you. Probably you will be in a good position to even make a case before Parliament. The second issue I'd like to comment on is we shared it here in the committee. I want to re-echo it, that there are complaints that the amounts given to the complainants, the victims, are very meager. And I hope you can still look at it in a broad way. Your training as a lawyer and as a judge, look at the ages of these people, what they have done in the time they have lost, and look at all those considerations. We may not look at the poverty of the country, but the nature of violation, because this is the best way. Now that we focus, the compensation has changed from being broad to the violators. When their budget shrink, probably that's when we shall have sensibility return. You have a monitoring team headed by Madam Ruth. You need to continue monitoring. I'm happy that you're talking about the need for boats. You're mentioning Kalangala and Buvuma. I want to inform you that all lake areas of fishing communities are facing very serious violations. You need to be interested. When I was leader of the opposition, I toured some communities, and the communities powered out. And it was difficult for me. I implored the Committee of Human Rights in Parliament to follow up with the matter, but probably it was constrained. Now that you have this core mandate, you may not wait for the procurement of speedboats. You may have to find it in your budget to reach out to the communities in the fishing communities. The violations there are despicable, and the violators know that's very difficult for you to go there. So they can get away with anything, including murder. Property has been burned. Nobody cares. Community leaders are terrorized. They're in fear. So it's your constitutional mandate. I want to encourage you to explore the state of human rights in the fishing communities. It's been a big issue. I raised a motion in Parliament about it. Sometimes Parliament is slow, and it's understandable when handling certain things. But this being your core mandate, Madam, I would like to invite you to push this. The commitment I take on behalf of the Speaker and Parliament is to follow up on commitments like a NAP, such that the ministers responsible, that should be Minister of Justice, do follow up and complete these policy obligations, such that your hands are not tied. The third issue I'd like to speak about is the congestion in the prisons. It was a matter on the floor of Parliament, I think 2 days ago. But policymakers do not seem to have an agreeable framework on how to deal with it. And I contend that you are part of the JLOS framework. My personal view is different. There are those who believe that we should enlarge the prisons to reduce congestion. My view is that we should instead speed up prosecution. Recruit more prosecutors, recruit more magistrates, not expanding prisons. That for me is not a solution. Because at the end of the day, you'll discover that majority of the people that are in jail for a donkey's years actually have no case to answer. But because of poor investigations, slow prosecution processes, they're rotting away in jails. So can you lead the charge to find something more appropriate? I can assure you that Parliament has tried to grant whatever the judiciary has asked in form of more magistrates. I believe they're going to even recruit more prosecutors. You can try to find out whether they're actually living up to their billing. They have asked for more personnel. Congestion cannot be solved by expanding prisons. For me, the solution is enhancing the speed of hearing cases by availing personnel and resources so that the judiciary is able to hold sessions in the regions where there are no courts. But you can also lead the charge to advise on the best way of dealing with the congestion in prisons, because we encounter it every day as lawyers. We go to this prison to see clients, and it's very, very bad. They are falling sick. They're contracting diseases hitherto not they never had. So I encourage you to follow it up. And I would like to again thank you most sincerely to your team. I know what you're doing is not charity, and it's a no thank you job. Continue doing it. And the skies are not clear in our country in this period. You probably need in earnest to raise a red flag to all and sundry to say you are the Human Rights Commission, and therefore you will not cover up for anybody. I have read, I think you have also read, a report of the state of the safety of journalists in Uganda from the, journalists, human rights for journalists something network, yes, and it was implicating politicians even from the opposition for violating the rights of journalists. So please raise the red flag in earnest, because very soon darkness could set up at noon. But if you're at the center with courage to say, this is our country, we have only this country called home, we can all fit into this one country, our rims of tolerance need to raise a bit in these times. Once again, on behalf of the Right Honorable Speaker, I would like to congratulate you and encourage you to do your work without fear or favor.
Before the Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee received very positive consideration, and that they have made very good recommendations for us before the Budget Committee. So we are very excited about that, and we are very grateful. Promise that we will continue to consider all human rights, including economic, social, and cultural rights, including the protection of the environment. We have taken the advice given to us before by yourselves in the Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee to refocus our budget to increase complaints handling, that is investigations and hearing cases. We consider that our tribunal awards to victims of human rights violations are very low, and we are going to look at this very seriously, including benchmarking with the courts of judicature. Will indeed interest ourselves in all islands beyond Buvuma and Kalangala, especially once we get the speed boats we've requested for, even one to start with, and to explore the state of human rights among fishing communities. This one we've ever done, and actually issued a report on just the rights of the people in the fishing communities. And we agree with you that the human rights way to address the prison congestion is not by building more prisons, but by addressing the prostitutions. That's why there are more remand prisoners than convicts. So we agree with you, Right Honorable Speaker, and we promise we will not cover up for anybody through thick and thin.